I'm David Pendergrass, and today I'm going to be responding to Demonologist. My son, bless his heart, sent this to me. So this is a guy goes by the name of Robin, demon, magic, trans, and autism, witch teacher. And I know that Robin will never DM me first. That's what it says right here. That will never happen. Ever. It's called Boundaries. Good for you, Robin. Good for you. Have boundaries. All right. This one particularly he sent me, so let me click this one here and see what happens. All right, it goes pretty quickly here. I disagree with a lot of information in old grimoires about working with demons. I had to look that up. I don't know if I knew the word grimoire. A grimoire is a book of magic, spells, incantation.
I disagree with a lot of information in old grimoires about working with demons, but this one thing specifically really gets me riled up. And even a lot of modern demonologists will recommend this. And that practice is abstinence.
It gets me so riled up that they recommend not having sex. Why do they make you riled up?
So essentially, no spicy time if you want to work with demons is what these texts are saying. I thought this was a great opportunity to remind people that most grimoires are written from the perspective that whoever is practicing that magic is Christian. So as a non-Christian, I just know that approaching these texts is going to be practices that don't line up with my ideologies.
What book in the history of Christianity was written to help Christians practice magic? Whatever. I went to school for 12 years, undergrad, master's, PhD. I've been studying this for 20-something years. I have a PhD in New Testament and historical theology. Never in my life, ever, have I ever heard of such a thing. I mean, ever. I've never heard. There might be books out there that claim that they're Christian. I'm really asking you. So you put in your comments, link it. What book, what demon witchcraft book is written for Christians? I've never heard of such a thing in my entire life. Demonology, demon work, both in the Old and New Testaments and the early church, was an absolute egregious sin. Never in a billion years would have Jesus done that in the early church. Never. And so that is shocking that anybody ever. So I've never heard of it. If they did claim it, if the author of a grimoire did claim it, that person is profusely mistaken. That is just like writing a book of how to seduce children for pedophilic sex. That is just like a manual how to rape people or how to murder. It is disgusting and horrible, and nobody who claims to know Jesus would write such egregious, ridiculous nonsense. So if you even find it, but I'm curious now what book claims to do that. So anyway, he's really, really worked up. No, he said he's really worked up that you can't have sex. So there are going to be practices that don't line up with my ideologies. But why does that work you up? Why do you get riled up about that? Of all the things that get you riled up, I suspect it's what gets you riled up is that it's, quote, religious at all or Christian. I suspect it makes you very angry when anything Christian is mentioned. I wonder why that is. What is it about Christianity that makes you so riled up? I don't get riled up with Muslims. I don't get riled up with Jews. I don't get riled up with Buddhists. And I'm a Christian, those things. But see, it's amazing to me that demon slayers, demon workers, demonologists, witches, warlocks, a lot of atheists get so angry at Christianity. I don't know what that is. I wonder what it is.
Now let me be clear that I don't think it's a problem that people incorporate this into their practice. I think it's a problem that these texts talk about it like it's a requirement. I personally believe we can't really talk about most human actions with sweeping generalizations because they mean different.
Is that a generalization or are you being specific?
I also think it's a little bit puritanical to think that smexy.
What's wrong with being puritanical? You're sounding very judgmental right now, Robin. Why are you so judgmental on the Puritans? Who are you? Are you the judge and jury on those who want to be puritanical? Do you not see how instantaneously this is hypocritical? You're judging them. Sounds very judgy right now. You're not just saying I encourage you or have principles. Now you started judging. To think that smexy time?
I also think it's a little bit puritanical to think that smexy time is going to inherently cloud your capabilities.
I think it's ridiculous that you think that having sex or not having sex actually affects anything about demons. So I'm thinking, what's your evidence for this? What's your data for this? What's your evidence that your, quote, ideologies has anything to do with reality? What if these grimoires were right? What if these satanic worshipping witch people and warlocks, or let's assume it's the worst, that they made a pact with Satan himself. And Satan said, really, it's better if you don't have sex. Really. Would you change your mind, trans demonologist? Would you say, I'm no longer, okay, I take that back. Oh, really, how do you know that? What's the data? It feels, it seems as if you just don't like it. Not because it's based on data, and that's fine. But that's a whole thing about demon, this kind of stuff to me that strikes me so overwhelmingly unpersuasive. It's full of feeling. The idea that demons are scared of rocks and windowsills, and he's scared of certain vegetables and spices, and the demons, it just sounds so ancient paganism nonsense. I mean, they would put foul-smelling roots of things shoved up people's noses so the demons would come out. That's what they would do before Jesus came along and said, get out. He didn't do an incantation. Jesus never read a grimoire. He didn't write one. Jesus had full authority. They blurted out, we know who you are. You come to destroy us? Demons were scared of Jesus. They're not scared of you. You might play with them. They might like to dance together. Apparently, you might not have a lot of sex while you're trying to do something with them. Or I don't know if you do have sex. If you would, I don't know. But Jesus never had to read one of those things, and I wouldn't either. But I wouldn't read it at all. I would stay away from all this stuff. I mean, I really would stay away from all this stuff. It is a very real field. It's a very dangerous field. And I wouldn't play about this. I wouldn't play around all this. And I see that you came back in your own comments and said, all I'm saying is that it doesn't have to be so strict. My response is, why not? Why not? Why can't it be strict? Why not? I'm not being a punk here. I'm just saying, what? Predicated upon what moral standard are you there to tell people it doesn't have to be? Based on what? Do you mean morally doesn't have to be? Based on what moral system? What moral system are you trying to embrace for that? If you say it doesn't have to be because you have evidence for it, what's your scientific evidence that demons don't get scared if you have sex? That's fine, we'll say that. But that's not what you said. What you said is my ideologies, plural, which I've never heard in my life. I've never heard of persons have multiple ideologies. I've never heard it. You do. I've never heard of that. That's fine. But in other words, it's not based on science, it's just because you have ideologies. Anyway, and then, so this other comment, as a pagan that practices shamanic work, I personally agree with this. It helps align the body with the soul. I agree we are a body with the soul. I completely agree with that. Same thing with fasting and cutting out things such as caffeine, meat, drugs. Is it required? I wouldn't say so, but I found it very helpful. Yeah, that's a big no-no for me with the theory about it. If you want more information on the history of Satan, a good overview of the history of Satan, click the video, and I've got a quick overview of the history of Satan, and that leads in, of course, to demons to a degree, from an historical perspective, not from a traditionalist perspective or from a demonologist perspective, but from a historical perspective. That doesn't mean this person has to agree with all the ancient documents to say otherwise. You don't have to agree with it. I'm just saying, if you want more of my thoughts on historical, you can look at that video. Here's one more before I wrap up. Here's a bonus clip. Here's another one where he talks about advice for baby witches. It's okay.
I love doing advice for new witches because there's so much of it I would have found when I started witchcraft. As someone who was raised conservative Catholic.
There it is, conservative. There it is. I knew it. I knew it. I've never, so far in my limited life on this earth, I've never met a person who gets so riled up about Christianity unless you were one or supposed Christian molested you, hurt you, did something wrong, which I hate when that happens. But you have deep wounds about it. This is not some objective, scientific, whatever, or historical approach to something. This is overwhelmingly emotionally driven. And you can tell when you go so far extreme to the other side by overwhelming amount of tattoos and the channels and the YouTube this or whatever. So you grew up conservative Catholic, but that explains a lot. I'm sorry that you've abandoned. I'm not a Catholic myself, but if you believed anything about Jesus, I'm sorry to hear that you abandoned all that.
Initially used witchcraft as like a safe haven away from all the terrible stuff that I had experienced. I'm here to tell you.
I'm sorry you experienced anything terrible in Catholicism.
That there is no religion or spirituality in which nobody is taking advantage of somebody else.
What's your possible evidence for that? Robin, what's your possible evidence for that? I mean, how would you possibly know that? There are billions of people on the planet. There have probably been 1,000 different religions since the history of humanity. How would you possibly know? I mean, What's your evidence for that? And you just told me earlier in another video that, maybe it was a later video, that you don't like generalities and that people shouldn't do that. But, I mean, this is a classic example of that. How would you know that? I disagree with you also that in Christianity particularly, if someone's taking advantage of someone, that doesn't mean they're being Christian. It means they're being a non-Christian. Jesus didn't take advantage of anybody. Jesus did not take advantage of anyone. So people might sometimes, but it's not true that all religions are predicated upon the exploitation of other people. That's what you're getting at. Maybe I misunderstand you.
Also, a lot of the negative things that I experience in Catholicism also exist in witchcraft spaces. Things like purity culture.
Why is purity culture? Why are you so judgmental on that? Other video, you frowned upon puritanical. Why is purity so evil to you, or sinful, or bad, whatever language? Why is it so bad? Why can't people choose to be pure? Why is dirty and wicked better than pure? Why is that? And if you mean puritanical, meaning heterosexual marriage and sex, why is that evil or bad? Why can't people choose that? Why are people like you and others so judgmental on people like me who choose to embrace the design by God that man and woman should be alone in heterosexual marriage? I mean, that's it. That is my view. That was Jesus' view. So what? Does that mean I try to kill you? Does it mean I hate you? No, it doesn't mean any of those things. Why are you so judgmental on that? If you're so inclusive and welcoming, why judge anybody ever? You can't have a moral stance. That's the problem with being so profoundly inclusive, is you end up having no morality. But you do, because you're doing it right now. You've already judged Catholics. You say all religions are basically oppressive, exploitative. Now that you judge the fact of being puritanical, you're hitting a home run on judgments.
Believing that there's only
That's
one way
judgmental
to practice magic.
Why can't they believe that? Why can't I believe there's only one way to have magic? Why is that? What is it about exclusivity that's so offensive and evil or immoral? Why is it?
Differently, then you're somehow bad.
You think I'm bad because I'm a puritanical person. You think I'm bad. You think Catholics are bad. You think people of all religions are bad because they're exploitative. I mean, this is hypocrite. This is a textbook hypocrisy.
Strains of things like homophobia, transphobia.
Why are those bad? Based on what moral value?
Yeah, white supremacy and witchcraft. Witchcraft is also not a monolith. I think a lot of times Wiccan or Wiccan adjacent practices get basically promoted as if they're like the witchcraft, and that's just not true.
Says who? You? It's just so judgmental. Why can't people have different views?
So research your own ancestral practices. And
why is cool the goal? Why isn't it true? So those are my quick thoughts on that video. Yeah. All right. My son sent me another one. He said the last one. I said that was the last one, but it's not. Here's another one. Here we go. When people have all kinds of stuff in their background, boxes and random crap, I'm always a little impressed. Like, you just wanted to record. Like, I don't care what my living space looks like. I'm not there yet. I want it to be more tidy. You're better at that than I am, I guess. Not caring.
It's been a little while since I did a video just
about the demon Amon.
Amon is a demon who can be found in a number of texts, most notably the Lesser Key of Solomon, but also a number of demon dictionaries from the same time period. He's said to present himself in the form of a dog with a snake's tail, and he's also said to breathe fire, which will be important when I tell you a little bit about some of his skills. I typically call upon Amon when I need help solving an argument. And when I say solving an argument, I don't mean us both coming to see eye to eye, I mean me winning it. The way I see Amon's fire-breathing power kind of manifest itself is directed towards whoever you are in a disagreement with. Ask for his help in helping debunk another person's arguments or even dismantling their credibility. He's also, like many demons, known to be good at different kinds of divination, especially when it comes to the future.
Okay.
Read the comments.
I don't know much to say about this stuff. This really says who and says what. I mean, the book said Amon. Let's talk about the demon Schmooga. Well, Schmooga has mentioned many books. Schmooga loves green. Schmooga eats Twinkies. And he's really, really good at helping predict the weather. And he also eats ants. Now, he looks like a snail and a unicorn. Schmooga does not like transgender autistic people. So I don't like that Schmooga. This seems so fictional and silly and nonsensical. I don't understand what the draw is. I don't. You don't have to. You don't agree with me. You don't have to agree with me. I don't get it. And that's the distinction from Christianity. In Christianity, while there are things for which I don't have any kind of historical corroboration on tactile evidence, the things I do. I know for a fact Jesus existed. We know exactly where Jerusalem. I've been to Jerusalem. I've been to Galilee. I've been to Nazareth. I've been to Peter, his number one apostle. I've been to his house. You can go to his house. You can go to these historical places, and then of course he's changed people's lives, and Jesus' divinity says. It's really interesting actually learning about demons, because you always hear about the big scary ones that like steal souls or something wild, but most of them seem to just be spirits that are really good at specific tasks, and that's so fascinating to me. Okay, I mean, you're fascinated about it. I don't.
That's not true.
Why call yourself Jesus' divinity and then the scary ones? Yeah, it's intriguing to me that it is more popular. So this kind of stuff is also one of the paradigmatic examples of what is indicative of our age. And that is when we talk about demons and demonology, it's fun and playtime. So you have your favorite demon. And so when I hear these things, the Schmooga, this Amon, it's like you're playing video games. That's all. Aaron. I thought that too. Amon. If you know your Key and Peele. But it is a way to diminish the threat of a real evil, powerful force. And every book I've ever read, every interview I've ever seen, every podcast I've ever heard, ever in my life of a person who got out of this, 100% of the time they say, it is real, get out, do not play with them. Demons lie to you, but come to you as, they're so sweet, and they're so fun little furry figures. They manifest with snake tails. But they are corrupt, evil. Imagine beings that are devoid of love. All they seek to do is to destroy, lie and destroy. It's not playful. It's not happy. It's not joyful. I just strongly encourage you not to look at this stuff. I encourage you. Is it because I'm so scared as a Christian, you're just a dumb Christian? Well, I might be dumb, but I am a Christian. And it's not because I'm scared of it. Jesus is more authoritative than stupid demons. But what I'm scared for is for you, that when you dabble in this stuff based on testimonies of people who came out of it, they say, do not ever, don't tarot card, don't do witchcraft, don't light your candles, don't invoke the spirits of demons, don't do it. Don't do it. They beg people. So I'm just a messenger of those people. I myself have not suffered from that, and so I haven't experienced it myself, but those that have are overwhelmingly not hyperbolic. They are overwhelmingly powerful in the presentation. They really are. I do have a video on demons, if demons are real. I hope you'll check out that video, Are Demons Real? You'll hear my thoughts on that, and you'll, from a historical and Christian perspective. What real or reals do you want me to respond to? Let me know in the comments below. I say a lot more about Christianity and Jesus in my book, Skeptic Challenges a Christian, and in my book, Rediscover Jesus. I hope you'll check out the books. I think you'll find them very helpful and informative and useful for you. If you have any questions about the Christian faith, I think these would be a really good start for you to learn a lot about the historical Jesus in context. In both of these texts, I talk about them. God bless you, and I'll see you next time.